I don't think I've ever said that a takedown model is better than a top end one, and I'm still not going to. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new Nike Tiempo Legend 8 Pro in the launch under the radar pack colorway, the first takedown model in the Tiempo Legend 8 lineup, bearing a retail price of $130 US, a full $100 less expensive than the top-end Elite model. It's also the replacement for the Nike Tiempo Legend 7 Pro, which was an excellent takedown model featuring a kangaroo leather upper. The Legend 8 Pro, however, features a calfskin leather upper, which a lot of people would view as a downgrade, and in some ways it is, but as a whole, I'm not unhappy with the boot, and I do think that the Legend Pro tier, 7 or 8, are still both really good value for money options, even though $130 isn't necessarily cheap. I want to go over all the details in today's video, including how it compares to its bigger brother, the Legend 8 Elite, and determine whether or not it actually is better than the top-end models, because in some ways it is, in some ways it isn't. Which ones are more important to you is something you have to determine for yourself. So if you want to learn everything there is to know, including how they fit and feel on feet, please stick around and watch the entire video. And if you're interested in a pair for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $130 retail price. If you guys do end up enjoying this video and perhaps would like to see more reviews of takedown model football boots on the channel, don't forget to support this one with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on daily football boot content from me, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So included with the boots is a box, and inside that box you get the paper that they include in the box. No string bag though, you got to spend $100 more. As for the boots themselves, when you put them side by side with the top-end Elite model, you can see that they look quite similar. So similar, in fact, that Nike felt the need to actually change up the coloring for the under the radar pack colorway so they didn't look too similar. Obviously the top end model has the solid blue swoosh. This has the black swoosh with the blue outline. There are other small visual differences, such as the Flyknit tongue versus the regular tongue, the Flyknit vapor construction to the heel versus a more standard heel construction, and of course the sole plates being different. But all of these differences are fairly small, and overall the Legend 8 Pro does not look cheap. And that's because it isn't cheap. It still retails for $130, but unlike the $130 Legend 7 Pro that it replaces, it no longer features kangaroo leather, but instead calfskin, which a lot of people would view as a downgrade. And to a certain extent it is. I guess if you were to compare this to the Legend 8 Elite and its kangaroo leather upper with the diamond texturing that does carry over across the entire Tiempo line now, this doesn't feel quite as soft, but the thickness I would say is very, very similar, and you still get the same amount of leather as well. You can see the seam right here on the lateral side, runs all the way through the forefoot and toe box area, and then cuts off at this point right here. I guess you could say it's a little bit upsetting that the price is the same as the previous model, but they've downgraded the quality of the leather from kangaroo leather to calfskin, but at the same time there is more leather on this generation of Tiempo versus the previous one. Either way, I'm not unhappy with what they've given us. Which brings us to the reason why, depending on what you're looking for, you might actually prefer the Pro over the Elite, because one of my main complaints with the Elite is that there's just too much going on. The kangaroo leather upper with the diamond texturing and the ACC technology, let's not forget about that, is not the only element to this boot. You also have the Flyknit tongue with the Flyknit tunnel that I think is totally unnecessary and just adds a lot of extra bulk to the medial side. Plus you have the internal quad fit system, which is great. It provides tremendous lockdown given how soft and flexible the upper is, but it's yet another layer of material between your foot and the kangaroo leather, which means that while the touch is soft, while the touch is definitely good, worthy of being called a high-end $230 football boot, I don't think it's as good as other leather football boots that you can buy, where the Legend 7 Pro gives you calfskin leather with the diamond texturing, which is still very soft, basically I would say 90% of what you get with the Elite, but none of the other nonsense. It just has a regular liner and a regular tongue. What makes a leather football boot special, in my opinion, is the purity that it provides in regards to touch and feel for the ball. It's simple in the best way possible. So you get this soft, calfskin leather upper. You get the diamond texturing on the surface, which is purely a cosmetic thing. It doesn't seem to offer any kind of a difference in regards to touch on the ball or added grip, if that's something that you're wondering, although it does seem to add somewhat of a firmness to the leather. I think it would have been more plush otherwise, so honestly, I probably would have done without this and it would have made for a better feel, but that's just pure speculation. But because there aren't those extra layers of material internally, especially once the boots have broken in and the leather softens up even more, the touch you get is very, very good. Is it top of the line kangaroo leather or top of the line leather football boot good? Not necessarily, because I just don't think that the leather quality is what you're going to get from like a made in Japan Mizuno boot, or even something very simple like a Nike Premier 2. I think that offers maybe a better leather touch on the ball, but if you're still looking for that modern feel in terms of responsiveness, surprisingly, despite there not being a lot of extra reinforcement to this upper, it does feel quite responsive, and they have strategically cut the synthetic kind of part of the upper through the midfoot on the lateral side, right in the one spot where it would typically stretch and make for a sloppy feel. It's not going to stretch because of the way that they've cut it here, and the fact that the entire medial side of the midfoot area is also made from leather, I think is a good thing when it comes to overall touch. It does hurt the responsiveness, and I definitely think in comparison to the Legend 7 Pro that this replaces, it's not as responsive a football boot. And really, I guess if I had to compare this to any past Tiempo models, what it really reminds me of is the Nike Tiempo Legend 5 with leather quality that's not quite as good. That didn't really sound like a compliment, but it was. So since there's no Flyknit or quad fit system, you're just left with a regular tongue that is actually a mesh-based material with a synthetic leather liner on the backside, a little bit of an insert of memory foam as well running through the middle, just to add a slight amount of extra padding, and it even maintains the leather pull tab at the top, which visually I think is quite good. They've also added these elasticated bands on either side that attach directly to the liner that are simply there to prevent the tongue from sliding from side to side when you're actually wearing the boots, which I think is a nice touch. It's not a fancy tongue, but it gets the job done and it feels quite good. Moving to the rear, they've kept things nice and simple, and honestly, this could have been on the top end boot and I wouldn't have been mad about it. It features an internal plastic heel counter, a standard low cut design, and of course a heel liner that features nice synthetic suede at the very back and then synthetic leather along the sides. Plenty of extra padding, certainly a lot more traditional than the Mercurial Vapor style heel that we have on the Elite model, which is not bad by the way, but given the choice, I'd much prefer this. The insole is fully removable and pretty much as straightforward as it gets, probably what you'd expect on a Takedown model, although the quality is decent. It's a mesh liner on top and it's made from a single layer of this gray foam. Moving to the base of the football boot, you'll find a sole plate that is not the same hyperstability sole plate found on the Elite model, but instead a variation of it that feels 95% the same, I would say. It's made from a slightly thicker TPU plastic. The flexibility for the most part is pretty similar. Maybe this is a touch stiffer out of the box, but once broken in, very difficult to tell. Again, it's a Takedown model sole plate, but it could pass as a top end one. And as far as the stud pattern is concerned, that carries over directly from the previous generation of Tiempo as it does on the top end model. And it's the same across the board for this line. A nice stud pattern that has kind of a classic feel to it because of the conical studs featured here through the majority of the forefoot, but it also has the bladed chevron toe pick studs taken from the Mercurial line and the blades under the heel. So as far as traction goes, it's more aggressive than you might expect it to be. Which brings us to the weight, and given that the Pro seems to be a lot more simple in design versus the Elite, is it possible that because there are less layers of material, it's also going to be lighter? Well, that logic makes sense, but that's not actually the case. In a size 9.5 US, the Legend 8 Pro weighs in at 7.95 ounces, just under the 8 ounce mark, the equivalent of 225 grams, which is very lightweight for this style of football boot. There are definitely lighter options out there, and in comparison to the Elite model, it's 0.4 ounces more. And I think the reason why it weighs a little bit more is not because of the upper, it's actually down to the plastic used on the sole plate. If this upper had the hyperstability sole plate from the top end model, I guarantee you that this boot would be lighter. But as far as the weight difference between the Pro and the Elite is concerned, it's such a small difference, it almost doesn't matter. So I've swapped out the stock black laces that don't actually match the boots because they're not black, they're really dark gray. colorway for some light blue reflective SR4U replacement laces, which accent perfectly with the light blue detailing you find on this under the radar pack colorway. And of course, it makes your boots that much more unique versus everyone else with the exact same colorway. So if you're looking to change up the style of your boots in a very inexpensive way, the website to visit is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in some for yourself, make sure to go check that out. On feet, the Tiempo Legend 8 Pro just feels like a simpler version of what you get with the Elite model. Yes, the upper arguably isn't as soft out of the box, but you feel much more connected to the leather upper that is wrapping your foot because there's simply leather, a liner, and then your foot. There's no quad fit system, there's no Flyknit tunnel. It's a much simpler pair of football boots in general, which is not a bad thing. Not much to break in here. The leather is pretty soft out of the box and softens up significantly more as you wear them in. The heel liner is really, really good. Could be featured on any top-end boot. It's that good. And as far as the overall shape is concerned, it's pretty well identical to that of the Elite model, despite not having all of the same elements. It's built on the same last, so that should be expected. As far as width is concerned, they're going to be wide enough for most people, and they're leather boots, so they will stretch and form to the shape of your feet as well. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size for the best possible fit. So in conclusion, is the $130 Nike Tiempo Legend 8 Pro better than the $230 Legend 8 Elite? No. I think the Legend 8 Elite still edges out the Pro based on the fact that the leather is softer. It does have a slightly more comfortable feel, I would say, on feet, given the slightly different sole plate and the use of quad fit with the lacing system and the Flyknit tunnel. That does make a difference in regards to how the boots feel on your feet. From a touch perspective, I think that the Legend 8 Elite could be argued to have a better touch, but it's really going to come down to personal preference. This definitely feels a lot more simple, but definitely the Elite model has a more responsive overall feel as well, and it is that tad bit lighter, but it's a very minor difference. So if you have the extra money to spend and you're looking for the best of the best from the Tiempo line, the Elite model is definitely the way to go. But if you are on a budget and you want kind of 95% of the experience of that Elite, you can get it with the Pro variation. And as a takedown model, it really is impressive. Could it pass as a top-end boot? I have to be honest, I think if this came out as the top-end Elite model, I'd be very disappointed, but as a $130 option, I think it's really solid. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in the Legend 8 Pro for yourself, you can click the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $130 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.